And welcome back. We've been dealing with decisions, ifs and elses, and if-elses, and we dealt a little bit with Boolean flags and showed a little bit about how CN can use the cn.good to check stuff as a recap of what we've been doing recently. But we've been dealing with very simplistic things. If statements that test one concept here, is Bob greater than 80 or something like that. We can test for one thing. But what happens if you have complex things you want to test for, more than one? Well, in C++, there is this concept, or a logical concept, of the AND Boolean test. It basically is a truth test that says, for a given set of conditions, or any set of conditions, it's probably two or more, all of them must be true for the test to be true. So this is one of these cases where AND minimizes things. It narrows the scope of things down. So if you're looking in your closet for a shirt and you say, okay, I want a short sleeve shirt and it must be blue, that means all the shirts that aren't short sleeve get cut out, all the shirts that aren't blue get cut out, and only the case where both short sleeve and blue exist can you actually pull those shirts out of the closet and choose which one you want to wear. So the logic for AND is a restrictive logic. Now in C++, the ampersand symbol is used twice to say do them both. So this is the AND symbol. So if you look above your 7 key on an American keyboard or US keyboard, the AND sign right there is what tests for two things. So let's say we're going to declare yourself to be Boolean character. Are you a graduate? Did you graduate from college? Now, next question is your credit score. We're going to test that too. And we're going to declare an integer, a constant integer, good credit equals 700. So we're going to say if you're a recent graduate and you've got a good credit score, you can buy a car. So we need to get those inputs. And regardless of whether you are or not, we're just going to go ahead and grab the credit score. So there we go. We're going to grab two pieces of information from you, our recent graduate, what's your credit score, and now we're going to use this AND conditional test to test for both. So if you are a recent graduate, and your credit score is greater than or equal to good credit, and there we go. Otherwise, if I could type. There we go. So this AND right here says this condition must be true and this condition must be true. To make sure that you're doing this correctly, you should be able to quite literally put a close parentheses around each side of this and be able to run it in a test all by itself. And if you can do that, if this will pass a test, and pretend like I have it, and this will pass a test, then, as in this kind of thing, this will make a good AND. If you can't do that, if you can't put that brace around it and get, or the brace around it, and you can't get a good test, you can't pass this. It just won't work. For example, a common flaw would be to do something like this. So graduate equals yes and good credit. Well, the trouble with this is good credit is always going to be true. It's a positive number. Therefore, this really wouldn't be a good test. And there's nothing to test here, really. You're kind of relying upon it. So if you do this, you're going to have an interesting problem. And what it's trying to tell you in this error message is this is always going to be true, so therefore you don't need it in this test. It would be even worse if you said graduate equals yes, and maybe you have a soon-to-be graduated code, yes, no, and I don't know, S for soon. So you could say something like that. If you were I'm making this up. This right here is not a standalone test. This needs this piece over here. So make sure that your sides, both sides of your test are good. And with that, we can run it. Are you a recent graduate? Yes, I am. What is your credit score? 800. You qualify for a loan. Are you a recent graduate? No. What's my recent credit score? 800. I don't qualify for a loan. If either one of these fail, this becomes false. The truth table for this basically says true, true, you get a true. If you have a true and a false, you get a false. If you have a false and a true, you get a false. So you can kind of see a little bit about what's going on here in that this is the truth table for this. This is test 1, test 2, and then the answer to the equation. So test this. Is this true? It is. Okay. Test this. Is it true? It is. Therefore, the whole thing is true. Test this. You put in a no. It's false. Test this. Is it true? No. Or yes. Doesn't really matter, because either way, once I get one false, I'm done. By the way, this is a thing called short circuit evaluation. If I look at the first test in an and it's false, I don't need to evaluate the second test. The second test is irrelevant to what's going on. Short circuit evaluation in the and says test the first one. True? Okay, now I have to test the second one. Test the first one. False? Don't have to test the second one. So this is the basics of logic. This is the first logic operator we're going to talk about, which is the and score. So, or the and test. If you have any questions, feel free to send me an email. Otherwise, hope you have a great day.